If you or your agents are losing sales due to objections and I need to think about it and nervousness, sales they should be closing, sales you should be closing, this video is for you. We're going to cover the 3 mistakes that insurance agents make unknowingly that cost them deals they should have had. Those commissions should be in your deposits right now, but they're not because you're unconsciously doing these things. And the moment I show you these, you're going to say, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. And by the end of this video, after you apply the 3 fixes in this video that you're going to get, you can watch you and your agent's closing rates skyrocket to maybe 70, 80, even 90% if you follow what I say and put it into action. If you're brand new to the channel, my name is Mason Vanmeer. The only thing we care about on this channel is getting to $1 million a year in income. Not in APV, not in bullshit numbers that don't matter, but $1 million in commissions hitting your bank. I know there's no income claims in this video or guarantees, anything like that. And just for a disclaimer, there's less than a 1% chance you'll ever hit it. I have no clue who the hell you are, and if you're even likely to follow what I say or do anything that I tell you to the degree it has to get done in order to earn that $1 million. All I can make sure is that I pass down the lessons for me, myself hitting that $1 million a year, and the clients I've helped go well above that. So without further ado, if you're brand new to the channel, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. It's a pleasure to hang out with you again. So in order to understand these 3 mistakes that insurance agents, that your downlines, you yourself be making, you probably are. I mean, last 30 days, I've listened to over 200 sales call recordings from multiple clients and agents who pay to have me review them and coach them or get on consultation calls with them for a couple $1,000. And all of them were making these 3 mistakes. And the moment I taught them this and trained their teams, a lot of them are closing at well over 83% right now as we speak. So you have to understand what a sale is in order for you to have the right objective. You have to get good at defining these things so you know what to look for and you have clarity and certainty that you're doing the right things. So what is a sale? So a sale isn't when someone says yes and buys your product. It's a series of small yeses that lead to that one big domino yes, and it's this chain reaction of yeses. It's a series of events, and how you have to look at this, this may sound woo-woo, stay with me here and visualize this to the best of your ability. All sales take place in the future. One of my secret hacks is I like to treat customers in the present as if they had bought in the future, and I treat them like that in the now. And what that allows me to do is, like Alex Hormozy says, conviction will correct your tone, meaning if you treat people like they already bought from you and they gave the carrier money to give you the commission, you're going to treat them a lot differently. You're going to be naturally more inclined to give them a much better experience because where your treasure is, your heart follows. Meaning, before you buy a stock, you're never really checking the price, but the moment you have money in that stock, if it's in the green, you feel good. If it's in the red, you feel bad. But the point is, you check it, you track it. And what you measure, you can manage. What you manage, you can multiply. So a sale is not just one yes. It's a series of yeses that lead to that one big crescendo of them buying your product and the money exchanging hands. So imagine it like a combination lock. You have all these different dials and possible sequences that could be entered in a certain scenario to unlock the lock. And what happens is when you get the right connection, the lock comes undone and it comes off, you can take it off. So imagine there's a combination on your customer's wallet. Now, combination is all the right numbers, whether you're going to use them or not. However, it only opens in a certain sequence. And like I said, by the end of this video, you're going to be able to stop doing those 3 things you're currently doing, and you're going to start opening up a whole lot more wallets as a result of watching this. And at the end of this video, I'm going to ask you to rate this on a scale of 10, 10 being absolutely awesome, 1 being absolute dog shit. You would never recommend it to anybody. So let's see how great I do. Because by the end of this video, you're going to be able to open the combination for every single wallet out there, 83% of the time almost. And then just to finish the combination analogy, what most agents do is they enter the same numbers on every lock out there. They try to build some rapport and urgency in the middle, some small people-pleasing bullshit talk. They talk a little bit about the problem and make an assumption that you need insurance because you filled out a form or you showed up to a call, and then they start talking about the fucking product. So let's go deep into this. Let's switch to red for this. Mistake number 1, I don't know if you guys remember this song from, I think it came out in middle school when I first heard it. But why you asking all them questions, making statements, assuming? You make assumptions. How you have to look at this is, let's say you go on a first date. You got a boy and girl out there, because that's the only way it fucking should be. And on the first date, you assume she's ready to put out and get down to business, marry you on the first fucking date. So treat this like your first booked call is like a first date. Now, how most agents treat it is they're looking for the three. In any given market, there's 3% of people credit card in hand ready to buy. Just like in any date, there's 3% of the women out there who will put out for fucking anybody. You want to stay away from these customers. Sure, they pay today money, but if they put out for you on the first date, they'll open up the wallet for anybody else the moment a lower price comes. They have what's known as automatic convincer models. I think they're terrible customers. I want nothing to do with them. But you get some dumbass agent out there who, because they sold 3 out of 100 leads, they think they're somehow good. Oh, buddy, you find someone who would open up for anybody. That's what happened. And so a lot of agents treat the first date like they're already engaged, like they've been doing things together. However, this person doesn't fucking know you, like you, or trust you. They just met. Like they said yes to coffee. They said yes to a call, not to buying. So I'll give you an example of what this truly looks like in insurance, because even I did it back in my early days. And keep in mind, I still wrote my first 9 months. I issued $364,855. But my first month was absolute dog shit. I was a donkey. Meaning, what happens was I would buy these bullshit leads. I would give money to this dumbass company to buy names of strangers who didn't know me, like me, or trust me, and I would call them. And what happens was I was getting these mortgage protection leads, and I assumed they wanted it. I thought by them opting into some form, because they thought most of the time they thought something was wrong with their mortgage. It tells you how good the leads were. When you're buying leads, you have to get really good at salesmanship, meaning telling people whatever they need to hear in order to buy something. It's not a great way to run business, by the way, because you kind of got to be a chameleon and just tell people whatever it is they want to hear. I don't recommend it. I recommend getting really good at marketing, because you'd have to sell hard on the call. It's because your marketing is fucking sucks. It's non-existent. It's failing utterly and brutally and miserably. The reason you do sell is because you don't know how to market. So I was buying these leads and I was making assumptions that because they opted in, they wanted insurance. And so by minute 8 on the first call, I'm already pitching them on shit. And then 8 minutes in, they just thought, well, how much does it cost? And the moment price comes out, you're treated and you're viewed just like any other salesperson out there. And that's not good, because what do most people have as an interpretation of salespeople? Do most people hear good things growing up about salespeople? Or do most of you, like I did, hear terrible things about salespeople growing up? Salespeople are it's like Bobby Boucher's mama. The salesperson is the damn devil to everybody out there. That's what we all heard. The assumption I was making was that they knew they had a problem and that they needed mortgage protection. And so because I assumed that, without verifying, without walking them through the entire sales process and treating them like they were fucking dumb and that they had no clue what their problem was, and walking them through that, building the urgency, building the necessity, building the agreements, building the yes chain, I assumed they thought they knew they needed it. And I treated them as such, which led to me talking about price very early on. It led to me trying to get them to put out on the first date and get them married. The whole time, they only had a little bit of curiosity, no conviction. Now, there's a lot of assumptions that people make on any given basis, but the biggest 3 for insurance agents are this. 1, you assume they know that the problem is real, meaning you think they know that they have a problem. They don't. Number 2 is you assume they understand who the responsibility or burden falls on, so you assume that they understand it lands on their people. Let's put PPL. And mistake number 3, or assumption number 3 that most agents make unknowingly, this is unconsciously, it just happens. Why? Because you've never questioned it. So the last one is that, well, my upline told me they already raised their hand. They raised their hand to be helped. No, like I said, they had a little bit of curiosity and they maybe filled out a form because they thought something was wrong with their mortgage in this example. Happens with most forms out there because the marketing is shit. If you're buying leads, I can guarantee you're getting fucked hard. And you know you're getting fucked hard is they'll say stupid things like this. We actually lose money on our leads. No, the fuck you don't. You resell them to 30 other agents. And in the moment that agent sells a policy and leaves because they caught you on your bullshit, you tell everyone else to go replace their policy so the business stays in-house. Get fucked. And let's say these leads did raise a hand. They raised a hand because they were curious, not because they were ready to be helped. Raising hands is not anywhere near having agreement. And why is agreement so important? What's the basis of all rapport? A lot of you agents go out there like a bunch of donkeys and you try to build rapport with all this bullshit like the acronym, family, occupation, desire, like No, they don't care. They know it's small talk. They know that's what salespeople are trained to do, is act like they give a fuck. Real rapport is when two things are like one another. The more symmetrical that you can make something, the more they see themselves in you, the more things tend to look one another, the more they tend to like one another. So the more that two things are symmetrical, familiar, chameleonized, I know I just made that word up, but the more something is like something else, the more it tends to like something else. That is what real rapport is. Not all these fake fucking questions where you pretend like you fuck about them when you really don't, and the only thing you're there to do is to do this. So stop with the fake rapport shit. Quit listening to your coach, your mentor, your upline, if they're not training you on real sales. If you skip any of these, if you make these assumptions, you will lose more sales than you get. And even if you somehow do manage to make the sales, you'll have what's known as buyer's remorse and a lot of fucking chargebacks that you have to pay back, and it was completely preventable. If you've ever had a chargeback, and I can almost pinpoint it to this step right here, if not the second one, which we're about to go into. Mistake number 2, I've mentioned the word agreements a lot. Like I said, a sale is not one yes. It is a series of yeses. Yes, yes. I'll walk you through. There's going to be 11 in this example that you can print these out, put them on a checkbox, which I'll just put below in the description for you. You can go download it for free. But because you make assumptions, you make mistake number 2, which is skipping to the pitch. You rush to it. You rush to the bed. Because you're making assumptions, you skip the 11 steps of agreement, of pulling out those yeses and walking them through it. Because what happens is you guys are trying to give them the answers to shortcut it. Maybe you get nervous. Maybe you start increasing your rate of speech, because that's what people do when they get nervous. The first thing that happens is your physiology. You start to try to speed up, to hurry up and finish, to get through the script. What you should be doing is trying to get the script through the person. Don't try to rush through the script. Try to get the script through the prospect. Why? Because you're going to get them to have a conversation with themselves in their head to where they can come to their own conclusions and beliefs that you want them to have to make an educated decision. Because if they knew what you knew about their problem, would they not do something differently? So yes, our goal is not to rush through and look like a scared little coward bitch, all right? Our goal is to get them to come to their own conclusions that we desire them to have. Because if they look at their problem with the new information we give them, they are forced to make a new decision about it. It's really cool. Why can this work? Because in human psychology, we have this thing called incongruity. Anytime that you know you're doing something that you're not doing, it causes you this massive internal resistance, like shame and guilt. Men most of the time feel guilt. We know we should mow the yard, but we didn't fucking do it. Women care a lot about what other people think other people are thinking. If that bitch Rebecca finds out I didn't bring a jacket to the pool in Texas for my kid, but she did, like, shut the fuck up. You're in Texas. It's hot as hell. You don't need a jacket at the pool. You bring your bathing suit in the sun. Like, that's it. You in 2 minutes. So you cannot skip these steps of agreement, all right? It's very drastic. It's very important. How important is it? If you skip one, you're going to lose the sale. And if you do make the sale, you're going to have to pay that money back in the form of a chargeback, because they're going to cancel the policy due to buyer's remorse. So you have to imagine the agreement chain. What I call the agreement chain is just a bridge. And so each agreement is going to be like a plank across the bridge to get to the other side. Quit dragging. And what happens is by the end of this, they're going to believe they need this. And if they don't do something about it, they're lying to themselves, and that's when incongruity kicks in. This is where you will have people return your calls after 24, 48 hours. Like, you know what? Everything you said was completely true. Like, can you still help me out? That's a good conversation. That's a bought-in customer, is when they come chasing you, which I bet hasn't happened for most of you out there. But I guarantee you it's going to start happening a lot more likely after you do this and implement this into your sales process. So agreement number 1 is they have to believe that the problem is real. Problem is real. Meaning, if I die without this shit, like, if I die, someone I love inherits my financial burden, my catastrophe, and my financial problem. They have to believe this is real. How do you do that? You ask them hypothetical questions, all right? You put them in scenarios that only your product would be the obvious solution to get rid of it. All right, you make apples to oranges comparisons. And so you ask them questions to get them to realize the problem is real. Notice how we're not talking about the product. We're starting with the problem. You always lead with the pain. People are more motivated to avoid pain than they are to chase pleasure. If it comes down to spending money, who wants to spend money faster? Joe, who wants a wider, brighter smile, or Jane, who has a crippling toothache? Who do you think goes to the dentist faster? Obviously Jane. If you said fucking John or Joe, like, it's not gonna help for you. Here's where we have to stretch it and we really agitate the pain, is they have to believe that the gap is real. So let me minimize these. So when I say the gap is real, they have to believe that the problem is bigger than whatever solution they currently have in place to deal with that problem. If they do not have enough to deal with the problem, you make it bigger in their head. Mosquito, you've all probably been bit by a mosquito. If you're watching this, let me know in the comments, have you ever been bit by a mosquito? Now, you were never worried about that mosquito bite, but now I'm drawing attention to it because what if right after you got bit by the mosquito, you hear a emergency broadcast come across your phone and it's like, careful, take shelter. Mosquitoes in your area have been confirmed to have malaria and West Nile disease. You're like, oh, fuck, am I gonna die? What we just did was we stretched the gap in your head. We have to make the pain concrete, not abstract. The more specific you get with details and imagery and vividness, the more likely they are to believe the problem is very severe, which it is. If they die, we know their family's fucked financially. And if you're not communicating that and making it scary enough, the darker the demon, the brighter the savior, the policy. All right? The darker the demon, the problem of not having insurance, the brighter the savior. So they have to believe that what they have is not currently enough to deal with the problem. They don't have the right solution. Number 3 is they have to be empowered enough to believe that the problem is mine to solve. They have to believe it's their responsibility to take ownership of their lives. And I promise you, a lot of you, because you grew up with, I don't know, donkeys as parents, and they told you, some of you grew up with this nasty, rotten bag of trauma and conditional love, meaning if you don't do X, Y punishment is going to happen. And your parents would withhold love and do things, and it was very conditional. And guess what happened? That happens to all of us because we're children and we can't make our own decisions. Our parents are doing the best with the resources they have available to keep our asses alive. Whether they did good or not is irrelevant. But some of you adults are still walking around believing that if you don't do for others, you're not going to get love. And so you go around trying to be a people pleaser and solving everybody's problems, and you assume that everybody else is going to solve your problems and that only you can solve everybody else's. You try to be Captain Save-A-Ho and be a people pleaser. That's just what happens in today's world. It's a habit pattern for failure. When I heard that from Brian Tracy's Phoenix seminar, it made absolute sense why some grown adults stay the way that they do, and that humans never want to rise up to their own occasion to solve their own problems. So what happens is when you give people the empowerment to stand up for themselves and make them realize they are responsible for their own lives, you empower them. The people who run away from that are pussies, and you can't get them away from you fast enough, right? Don't hang out with losers. Get these people out of your life if you know anybody like that who thinks it's everybody else's job to come save them and only they can save. What this looks like is maybe you know an agent who walks around with their adult customers attached at the hip talking about, he can't walk, he can't afford this. Put him down. Let him be a fucking adult. So you have to get them to realize, you have to ask them, whose responsibility is it to solve this problem for their family? Oh, it's yours? Duh. Welcome to the real world. Now, agreement number 4 is because we are all on borrowed time. Everything in this life is rented, meaning the laws of entropy are a very real thing. If you don't know what entropy is, it's that things left alone tend to move more and more towards disorder. The more we live, the closer we get to dying. Welcome to the circle of life. Remember that Lion King song? But you have to get them to acknowledge reality. Because if you let them live in la-la land where they think they're never going to die, they're always going to push this off and procrastinate because the pain's not smack dab in their fucking face. Everyone's a bit spatially blind, meaning they have spatial myopia. They can't see consequences in today's world because they're too glued to the fucking poverty programmer, the electronic income producer. And then they're too busy watching dumbass grown-up men get together in tight pants and slap each other on the ass while throwing a football down the fucking field, because that's what's important. So you have to get them to realize they're on borrowed time and that it's urgent, meaning your ability to solve the problem is expiring a little bit more each day. So they have to agree with you that their ability to solve this problem, it's expiring. meaning the most valuable thing humans have is the ability to earn an income. Now that income affords them the luxury of solving their problems and throwing money at the problem to make it go away. Insurance is the only thing you can do that with. You can throw money at the problem and make it go away if you're healthy enough. Because money doesn't buy life insurance. Your health does. So the older and more unhealthier they get, the more they lean towards disorder with the laws of entropy. Older they get, the unhealthier they get, the less they can afford to take care of the problem. The less of the ability they have given to them to take care of the shit. Because an accident tomorrow could completely wipe out their entire family's foundation from underneath their feet. And guess whose fucking fault that is? Ours for not communicating that very apparently. And anyone who hears that, who's too fucking stupid to solve that after, we don't want them as customers. Guys, you don't have to sell to everybody. There are grown men who would rather buy fucking rims and tires for a truck than to spend $80 a month on a life insurance policy. We call those men pussies and cucks because they're going to be looking down from heaven watching someone else plow their wife. Anyways, number 5, this is where we have to invalidate alternatives. Before someone can say yes to you, you have to get them to say no to what they're currently doing, meaning you have to acknowledge the trade-offs. It's all about trade-offs. If I spend $1,000 with you, I can no longer spend that same $1,000 with anybody else. And so if you're in a complementary or a competitive market, which we're in competitive when it comes to life insurance, if they get your carrier, if they buy your product, your policy, they can no longer buy it from a different agent without canceling yours because they're not going to have two of the same thing. So you have to get them to say no to everything else and everybody else that could potentially be an alternative to solve this problem. So you cannot skip the work of getting them to say no to everything else before they say yes to you. So agreement number 5 is there can only be one vehicle. They're trying to get somewhere and your policy is the vehicle that delivers that transformation. They are right here, but they want to be over there. And they have to believe that your life insurance policy is the only vehicle that's going to get them to where they want to go. When I learned about invalidating alternatives, getting them to see the downfall, this is where you make apples to oranges comparisons. You don't want to be fair with this. You want to be very unequal and biased and get them to discriminate against other products. Saving, well, have you ever heard of the law of 72? A lot of people think they can save their way. What does your bank give you as an interest rate on your money? 0.5%. So the law of 72 states that if you take 72 divided by the interest rate your money is getting, it tells you how many years it takes your money to double. So let's take whatever's in your bank. Let's take 72 divided by the interest rate, 0.5%. What does it say? That's how many years it would take you to double your money. With life insurance, you could do it the moment, and you could more than double it. You could 10x it. Instead of leaving your family where you are, you can leave them where you would like them to be. Fair enough? You see how we made that comparison and got them to realize that saving their way was no longer a viable option? It was actually really retarded. And it's 2026. Let's bring back the word retarded. Because if you're not doing this, your customers are going to look at you like you're the R word. So you have to get them to realize there's only one vehicle to solve my problem. And the first thing you have to do is get them to realize that everything else you have to say no to. So we can do agreement number 6, which is if everything else looks like a no, what looks like a yes? You have to show them what right and wrong looks like. So we have to show them right looks like this. This being your policy, your path, your methodology. They have to come to terms in their head. They have to agree that the specific vehicle for them to solve this problem is this. So they now have a clear image in their head of what right looks like. This carrier, this amount, this underwriting, these riders, just for me, is what's going to solve my problem. Now, after they believe your policy is right, they have to believe this specific policy is specifically just for them. This is the specific policy for me specifically for this specific scenario. Write this down. If you want to make the money, you have to make the money matter. By giving the policy a purpose, you assign it a meaning. And now they have emotion in it because all motion comes from emotion. By giving something a meaning, you're more likely to get them to take action towards that specific meaning, as long as it's theirs. So you're letting your customer write the story, you're just giving them the pen. You're letting them assign their own value to something, give their own meaning to it. So now they believe that this specific policy is the solution for them specifically. It's very concrete. It's not abstract and vague. It's this specific policy. But this for $243,000 with an accidental rider is just for me at $98 a month to solve that problem in 16 cents. That degree of specificity is what sells. It's what convicts. It's what converts people. It's what gets them to convince themselves. Now, what's going to happen in their head is going to say, okay, I'm this, but the price. If you have not done a good job up to now, what's going to happen is they're going to say the premium costs more than the problem. Therefore, it's not worth it. It's a bad trade. It's a bad deal. I'm getting fucked here. I'm getting shafted. What you have to do, and if you've done all of these steps by now the right way, is they're going to say, okay, let's start at the beginning. My problem is real. My family's going to have certain consequences. The gap is real. What I currently have is not enough to solve it. The problem is mine to solve. My ability to solve the problem is going away every day. There's a specific vehicle for this problem. Here's what it looks like. And this specific vehicle is just for me. This vehicle with these features, these policy with these benefits, these riders, these exclusions, whatever, is just for me. If you've done all of that up to this point, what they're going to say is the premium is less than the cost. Premium costs less than the problem. One of my favorite ways to do this in something like a mortgage protection sale is saying, hey, John, you guys bring in $4,500 a month together. She makes $1,500, you make $3,000. And the bills are $3,000 a month. Now, if you die or you get hurt and you make work, how much does she lose of your income? All of it. You get them to say this. Get them to draw it out with you. So how much is she left with coming in every month now? $1,500. Is that more or less than $3,000? Where are we coming up with an extra $1,500 to pay the bills? What does she have to do? Okay, so how long do you think you'd be out? Well, if you're dead, forever. So she has to come up with an extra $1,500 just to break even, just to pay the bills. But what happens if the car tire, like she pays more than that, right? So you need to be at least $4,500 a month for her to maintain the current lifestyle you guys have. So which one makes more sense? Trying to come up with $3,000 a fucking month, or paying $300 a month for the plan that will give her $4,500? Which one would you rather her come up with? $3,000 a month or $300 a month? By framing it like that, you make the premium cost less than the problem. Make sense? So now it looks like this. And as long as you can show them that and get them to realize that, they're going to say, okay, awesome. Premium costs less than the problem. We can check that off. So Mason, I know I have a problem. I know I got to solve it. It's just for me. I believe the premium, your solution, costs less than me maintaining and keeping my problem. What's going to come to their head next? The next agreement you have to get them to realize is the efficacy. A broken clock can be right twice a day. A drug dealer out there can say drugs are bad for you, but do you believe they have efficacy? Do you believe that they actually care about you? Well, if you're a crackhead, do you think the drug dealer wants good for you, or do you think they want you using their product, the drugs? Which is why the first hit's always free. Now let's compare this to agents who buy leads. Do you think the lead vendor wants you to do well, or do you think the lead vendor knows that you have a 92% chance of failing out of this industry and they just want their money before you do? So there has to be efficacy. They have to trust you. They have to believe that this person is a credible expert. They understand my problem. They've diagnosed it correctly. They're offering a prescription for the right problem. And more importantly, I trust that they have my best interest at heart. I trust this person to do what they say they're going to fucking do. And you may be the first person in their life, keep in mind, they maybe have always had someone in their life say they're going to do something for them. And their whole world experience is every time that someone says that, they break their word. They break their promise to them. Who do you know in your life? Do most of the people in your life who say they're going to do something, are they always there to do it? Are they punctual? Are they always telling the truth to you? Or do they people please? Do they pussyfoot? Do they beat around the bush? Do they tell you one thing and then do another? For most humans out there, it's the second one. They'll say one thing and then do another. That's most people's experience with other people. And so you have people who say things like, I don't trust anybody. That's also bullshit, because every day you get in your vehicle, you trust other people not to reckon to you, and you trust yourself to get there safely. The customer has to agree that they can trust you and that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and the product is going to do what they say that you say it's going to do for them. After they believe that your product's going to do what you say it's going to do, meaning it delivers the transformation, they get to become the person they want to be. For men, they're always buying protection and provision. For women, they're always buying security. It's advanced. I'll go into that in another video. If you want me to, comment down below security, and I'll make an episode on why women buy and why men buy. Because if you're talking to women like they're pretty dudes with really long hair, you're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna get fucked. And so agreement number 10 that they have to come to on their own terms. You cannot give them the answer. They say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it. Shut the fuck up. Don't even finish that statement, all right? You can lead a horse to water. Look at Coca-Cola. What is the number one ingredient they put in their drink? And let me experience with Coca-Cola. After you drink a Coca-Cola, is your thirst gone? Or do you want another one? They purposefully put sodium in there to make their product addictive by design. Meaning they put sodium in there because what does sodium do? It parches you. It takes out your water. All right? It takes water out. Makes you more, it does not hydrate you. It dehydrates you. It makes you thirstier. And so by design, they make you want to drink another one and another one and another one. So agreement number 10 is they have to believe it has to happen today. So they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. That's bullshit. If you put salt in its food, you will dehydrate it. And by the time it gets to the water, it's going to be so thirsty, it has no choice but to drink. By the time you've done all this, you've put so much salt in that person's fucking food. By the time it comes to drink your policy, they're gonna fucking do it. As long as they're not retards. So number 10, agreement number 10, they have to believe they have to do it today. It has to get done today. I do it now. And one of the easiest things you can say is you have to dig your well before you're thirsty. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is, let them fucking answer it, okay? It's today. Today. It's tough. If you make the pain big enough, if you make the demon scary enough, the Savior is bright enough today. They will do something today. So then they're going to fill out the application. Hey, let's get you approved first, because you can do takeaway selling. You can't just buy life insurance with money. The carrier actually has to accept you as a client. You're telling the truth. And so agreement number 11, this is how you prevent buyer's remorse. If you've done everything up until this point correctly, everything back here is all emotional. This is where logic kicks in. Humans are irrational creatures. If you think you do things for smart reasons, don't fucking bullshit yourself. You do things because of emotion. Humans do everything for one reason and one reason only. Because we feel like doing it. We feel like eating more than we go to the gym. We feel like, some of you, it's complete opposite. Some of you feel like not being fat, so you go to the gym. It's for completely different, usually pain avoidant reasons, but nonetheless, you do everything for one reason and one reason only, which is true for every human. You do it because you feel like doing it. Why do you feel like doing it? Because you believe it is in your best perceived self-interest. You believe the consequences are going to be favorable for you if you do it and unfavorable if you don't. And if you don't do it, something bad's going to happen. So it's always emotion. So we buy the vehicle because of how it makes us feel, and then we justify, we rationalize, we find some bullshit reason that we tell ourselves to validate the purchase, to justify it. Here's how you get people to justify and validate themselves to you. A hammer can be used to build a house, or it can be used as a fucking murder weapon. So this is going to be your hammer that I'm going to give you. How you use it is up to you. If you can get someone to say the word because, they will validate and explain themselves to you. And why we explain things is because we're seeking permission. So if you can get them to explain themselves, they're unconsciously seeking permission from you to do the thing, to buy the policy, and to justify it as a smart purchase in their head. So agreement number 11 is this is important. I'm not going to cancel this. I made a smart decision to do this. I made a smart decision to take care of my problem. I made the right decision because I'm a smart person. All right. I did not get taken advantage of. This was my idea and I'm doing it. It feels really good to do it. So they bought it because of all the emotion that happened before this, and now they're justifying, telling themselves, well, it's only $80 a month to make sure all the debt goes away from my family. That's a justification. Well, it only costs me $40 a month to make sure that my wife gets an extra $3,000 a month coming in to replace my income, and I can be the protector and provider I already believe myself to be. This is an easy way to exercise my right by spending. Of course, I'll keep paying $40. Who fucking wouldn't do it? It's a great deal. By getting them to explain why they took the action, they justify and reaffirm the reason in their head. And what happens is the brain releases myelin to coat the nerve and reinforces the decision every time they think about it. It's very advanced. Use it with caution. But what's going to happen is we've walked people through all of this. So I believe my problem is real. I believe that my family is going to inherit consequences as a result of my death, dismemberment, or my disability or sickness. I believe that the gap is real, that I don't currently have anything in place that would be worthy enough to take care of the problem. capable enough to take care of the problem, but the problem is mine nonetheless to solve. And the thing is because I'm dying today, my ability to solve that problem is going away, it's expiring, and I believe that nothing else comes close as an smart vehicle, as the appropriate vehicle to solve that problem other than life insurance. And I believe that the right policy would have to do these specific things for me. And I believe that the product that this agent is recommending is the specific policy just for someone like me. I believe the premium, the cost of the policy is less than the cost of the problem. And then I trust this agent's efficacy and efficiency enough that they're putting me in a better situation. They're leaving me better than they found me. I trust this agent. I trust Mason to coach me. And today is the best time to do it because tomorrow's not promised. And the second best time to plant a tree is right now. And I believe that this is going to solve my problem. And I made a smart decision, so I'm not going to cancel this unless hell freezes over and zombies come. And even then, I might still fucking keep it. If you walk someone through these 11 agreements, they have to give you money or else they are lying to themselves. You invoke incongruity, meaning if they don't do this, they feel retarded. They feel like they're letting their family down. They feel like if someone saw them do this, they would have no integrity. If a mom went through all of this and still didn't buy a policy from her family, she says, "That stupid bitch, who would do that to their kids?" Knowing that the only reason she's buying the policy is so that she thinks other moms don't think that about her. All right? So you have to walk them through these 11 agreements. It is paramount to the success of your business. And if you're not rating this video like a 20 out of 10 below in the comments about just this, because we still have one more to go, there's something wrong with you. You need to rewind it. You need to get your brain checked. Now, the problem with these agreements is if we look, there's 11. Most agents start at number 7. You meet the prospect on the call, you skip all of this shit, and you start off with the specific product just for them, and you violate the whole chain of agreements, and you wonder why you lose the sale. So what is mistake number 3? Let's go on to that. By the way, send this video to your agents. It's going to help them make more sales. Mistake number 3 is you argue with the engine light. You argue with the check engine light. Because you're so smart. So imagine you hear an objection in your insurance sale. You're pitching, you get an objection. An objection is a dashboard warning light going off. It's a warning light. What amateurs do is they try to over it. They try to tape over the fucking thing. Pretend like it's not real, it doesn't exist. Ignore the customer, whatever they say. They try to overcome the shit with rebuttal scripts. They try to act like it never even happened and not even address the fucking resistance. Or worse, they argue with the dashboard. They argue with the person and you come out of agreement and disagree with the person. It's not expensive. What do you mean you need to think about? How long do you need to think for? What do you need to think about? You cannot be disagreeable because then you break rapport. Remember what I said about rapport. When things are like one another, they tend to like one another. When things are unlike one another, they tend to hate one another. If you don't believe me, just look at all the dumbasses out there who have different skin and call each other different words. Every disagreement comes down to difference of opinion, difference of preference. So this is what amateurs do. What pros do is if you look at any car, it has what's known as an OBD2 port, and there is a scanner that you can plug in and will read a diagnostic code and tell you what it really means beneath the surface. Code 0148, an O2 sensor's bad. Now, why do they do this? Because every code points to a specific system, something that was not addressed, something that needs to be covered. If you address it beforehand, it doesn't become an objection. The best way to deal with objections is to address them before they become an objection. Now, what happens is when you know the agreements, you can come back and diagnose stuff. So where do you think I need to think about it would go? If you had to pick one of these 11, where do you think it would go? And if you say anything but 4, this is where I need to think about it would go. They don't believe that their ability to solve this problem is important and that their ability is not expiring. They think they're going to live fucking forever. If they knew they were losing their ability to tackle this problem, they wouldn't need to think about it. What about I need to talk to my spouse? There's 2 places this can go. They either don't believe the problem is real or they don't believe in you enough and your expertise, your credibility. They doubt you. I have a training somewhere down below that if you do will completely remove this ever from becoming an issue for you again. When you're talking to the doctor over a health issue, you don't go outside to talk to the spouse about if you need their treatment or not. When you're at a drive-thru, you don't believe that you need your wife's approval or your husband's approval to get the fucking burger that you want, that you think is going to solve your hunger. What about it's too expensive, it's too important? They either think that what they have is good enough, number two, or they fall victim to the comparison trap because you made an apples to apples comparison instead of an apples to oranges. If you don't force the comparison, customers will come up with their own bullshit, meaning they're pricing the premium against something you don't want them comparing against. They'll say that's expensive. Compared to what? Netflix? Of course it's expensive. $300 compared to $15, yeah, it's sticker shock. But if you force the comparison of how much it costs them to have this problem versus how much it costs to solve it, if you don't force that comparison, that's why you get that stupid objection. Completely preventable. One of my favorites is, I've got coverage through work, man. What happens is if I die through work, I'll get 1x my salary, dude. You ever heard one of those fucking retards? Those fucking donkey clients? I've got coverage through work, dude. The factory gives me 1x my salary. It's link number 5. They don't believe that your specific policy, they don't believe life insurance is the right vehicle. They believe their work coverage is the right vehicle. So all these objections, if you notice, this is where the sale occurs. All the objections that come after are from things you did not address before. But if you watch this video, if you internalize it, if you use it, if you apply it, doesn't matter how much you know if you don't apply it. Wisdom is knowing how to apply knowledge. And if you don't know how to apply knowledge, you are not wise, you are dumb. If you keep doing the same fucking sales call and skipping over this and hearing the same objection, I cannot tell you the last time I've heard, this is expensive, Mason. Well, fucking of course it's expensive for the right person. And they have to sit there and wonder, well, am I the wrong person? For example, I just released a brand new software called the Lead Machine because I know most insurance agents are out there getting fucked every day by lead vendors that do not have their best interest at heart. I've heard them literally bragging on trips, drunk at 2 a.m. around the pool table saying, yeah, do you know the most of this lead for $40 was like 82 times? And you lead vendors want you to win? You believe that your company telling you to buy leads and they're taking a loss? You believe they're telling the truth? What's that thing where people fall in love with their captors and they end up liking getting fucked by the people after they've been kidnapped, like Stockholm Syndrome or some shit? You're over here thinking, it's like that movie 365 Days, that weird fucker kidnaps that girl away from her family and she ends up falling in love with the fucking dumbass. That's what lead vendors do. Buying leads from a lead vendor is a lot like wearing somebody else's underwear. It sounds geeky and exciting until you see what the last agent left in there, which is a pile of shit. It's a lot like buying leads is like buying a lottery ticket or a lottery where the number was called a month ago and the winner was already selected. So I released this software. I walked people on a presentation through all 11 of these agreements, and not one agent told me the $5,000 beta launch test price was too expensive. Because a lot of them were spending $72,000 in a year on leads. The average agent spends $1,000 a month to $1,000 a week. That could be anywhere from like 72 to past, that's grand a month. At $1,500 a week, that's $72,000 a year. So which one cost more? 72 grand a year to stay where you're at, stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck? 5 grand for a system that logs into your Facebook in under 10 minutes. It writes the copy, it generates the video scripts, it records videos, it generates the images. It launches all of your ads for you in your own ads account. It runs itself. There's an AI appointment setter that calls all the leads for you, which is coming out. And it also texts your leads. It sends them educational resources about you to build your credibility before the lead ever talks to you. And it gets them at a 90% likelihood that they book a call with you and you close them in under 15 minutes. Which one do you think's more expensive? $72,000 a year to talk to fucking donkeys who don't even know a hole in their, they didn't even know their ass is on fire, or $5,000 for something that does all the work for you in generating your own leads so you don't have to worry about marketing. Premium costs less than the cost of having the problem. And so not a single person told me it was too expensive. Not a single person told me that after me showing them how many tens of thousands of leads it's generated for other people, none of them told me they didn't think it was the right product for them. They believe their ability to solve that problem is expiring because every day they keep working those bad leads, their ability to afford their own marketing goes down. So their ability to solve their problem goes down. They believe it's their problem to deal with for their own business because I empower them to see that no one's coming to fucking save you as an insurance agent. They believe that the gap is real, that what they're currently doing is not working, and they believe that the problem is real, that their insurance vendor is secretly ripping them off, and they've always felt that way. They just didn't believe that they would be able to do marketing or marketing would not work for their business. Once I walked them through this entire agreement chain, I sold out all 5 spots. So that put 25 grand in my pocket, sure. But I'm getting fucked on that end of the deal. They're gonna go sit there and make hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions combined. That's an example of the pitch in action. You have to remove all the alternatives and walk people through where they agree. Because if you give somebody the answer, rather than giving them the answer themselves, which one sounds better to you? If someone tells you what to do, or if you tell yourself what to do? It's a lot better when it's your idea. Now here's the real fix for you. Like I just said, you can give people answers, but it's much more empowering when they come to the answers themselves and that light bulb goes off in their head. You can see their physiology, you can see their body language when it's their idea. So knowing the agreement chain, the bridge, is not enough. Because an agreement only matters, it only holds true if the prospect makes it themselves. You cannot agree on someone's behalf. Fair enough? For example, Ben Feldman, the greatest life insurance salesman in history, outside of myself now. All jokes aside, Ben Feldman, small town dude from Ohio, outsold everybody, but he didn't outtalk them. He sold with simple drawings and analogies. And he let the prospect come to their own conclusions. Meaning, for example, give your customer a piece of paper. If you're on Zoom, allow them to screen share and draw on the whiteboard. And so a gap for somebody could be income, moolah, money, monies on one side. On the other side, the gap, what their family needs on the other. After they do the math, ask them, does that number scare you? And then shut up. When they say that scary number out loud, or you get them to pull out their calculator and do the math themselves, like that example earlier, I didn't tell him, so your wife's gonna have to come up with $3,000. I said, how much is she gonna have to come up with? We said the same thing, but two wildly different takeaways. Now it's his idea because they did the math. They came to the conclusion themselves. They did the work. Get your customers to sell fucking for you, dude. When they say the scary number out loud, the conclusion is theirs. We reject vehemently what we are told, but we never doubt what we ourselves conclude. It's one of my favorite quotes from a guy named Blair Warren. So here's what you should write down. A conclusion you hand someone is rented. A conclusion you hand somebody else is rented. But a conclusion they reach themselves is owned. Baller mic drop shit. A conclusion you hand someone is fucking rented, but a conclusion they hand themselves, they reach. Why? People don't argue with themselves. People do not argue with their own ideas and their own conclusions because we all believe we're all right. We all believe we're the most important part of our world. We're the center of the tension, which is why this sequence works so well and pressure does not. A lot of you don't sell because you think selling is about convincing to do something that they already don't want to do for reasons of your own. I believe selling is about empowering people to do what they already desire to do, giving them permission to do it for reasons of their own. And that's why I'll outsell anybody in this fucking industry. So here's my uncomfortable question for you. If the strongest agreements are one people reach on their own, why would you try to build all 11 in a 45-minute sales call? You're just going to overwhelm the customer. What's cool about what I teach at Pre-Sold Out is you can do the work before they ever even get on a call with you. You can install the beliefs, install the agreements before they ever even get a chance to waste your time. You can install these beliefs and agreements before the phone ever rings, before you ever knock on the door, before you ever even get on the call. That's what I call a pre-sold prospect, and it's no longer a sales call, it's a conviction call. You give them permission to do what they already desire to do. The easiest way for you to get pre-sold prospects is to go to Amazon and get the lead trap. It's going to walk you through how to build all of this, your own funnel, all of your own ads, walk you through the conviction call script, how to install the agreements into your customers. That way you're only talking to people who are pre-sold, which means you're now going after the 97% of the market where only 10% of agents work. And that's where all the money is. Not in those 3% who would put out for anybody, but in the 97% of people who don't just put out on the first date. You take the market share and you become a category king. So go get the lead trap on Amazon. Let me know what you think. If you want to check out the lead machine software that I released, we're going to be running a beta group here soon for another 10 agents this time instead of 5. I will sell out all the spots. So if you want your own lead generation to come in-house, all done for you, with winning ads that govern themselves, the losers shut themselves off while the winners scale themselves, the leads get called by an appointment setter cloned in your voice, and the leads get texted and given educational and indoctrination material, I'll call it propaganda material, to get them to believe that you're the expert for them, that you know their problem better than anybody else. You can apply at the link below, and I'll give you a call if you qualify. Other than that, go check out the lead trap book. It tells you everything for $15 at the $5,000 program, which will be going up soon. So if you want to apply for that, spots are limited. But nonetheless, I asked you at the beginning of this video what you would rank it on a scale of 1 to 10. So let me know down below. I love you all. Keep being awesome. Go fucking crush it on your next sales call, my friends.